¿Tenéis preparado ya vuestro vermut? Porque el vermut de hoy va a ser muy interesante. Si no lo tenéis preparado, os recordamos que podéis encontrar el vermut El Cónsul de las Bermudas, un delicioso vermut, en nuestra página web lasbermudas.com. Así que os invitamos a preparar vuestro vermut y a tomar con nosotros un vermut al día. Como bien sabéis, en la Vermuteria tenemos este compromiso de disfrutar de la hora del vermut. Cada día es la hora del vermut y esta hora del vermut la vamos a compartir juntos con los productores del vermut, intentando sacar cuanto más informaciones posible sobre el vermut. Hola, buenos días Gastrolafus. Hello,
Hello.
Logan. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
It's a pleasure. Good morning and good vermut.
Yes, good vermouth, sir.
Today we are going to connect together with the Paloma Vermuteria, that is a Vermuteria located in Copenhagen. And today we are in contact with Logan, that is the bar manager of the Paloma Vermuteria, so he can explain us about Vermut in Copenhagen. And we have a lot of questions, Logan.
Of course. Hopefully I can answer at least a few.
Thank you to be here together in Las Bermudas. It's a big pleasure to have you here. We know Paloma because last year the founder of Paloma came to Las Bermudas and explained the concept. So we are very near as a concept of Vermuteria. But maybe today you can explain us a little bit more about Paloma, about Vermut, about cocktails with Vermut, maybe.
Yeah, I'll do my best to answer all the questions. It's a huge honor to be here with you. Thank you.
Super. So the first question that we have here in Las Bermudas is the history of Paloma. So what is Paloma? When Paloma were born, and which is the philosophy of Paloma?
Well, Paloma was born roughly 2 years ago. We don't know the exact date of opening. Sometime around the first year anniversary, the sort of anniversary party got pushed back, so the date was sort of lost. But it's about 2 years old. We got the space from a local butcher who was a regular at the other bar that the founders have called the Barking Dog. So he's a regular there, and he came in one day wanting to sell his butcher shop. And Carl and Yerk, the owners of Paloma, they decided to go for it and take a jump. Paloma started off as more of a vermouth cafe, really. We were more of like a breakfast bar type of vibe. We had tapas throughout the day, of course. You can't have vermouth without a little bit of snack. And then maybe, well, if you don't include the quarantine time, about 3-4 months ago, we decided to make the full jump to a full-on vermuteria and vermouth bar. This decision was more on the customers and our guests. We felt that our guests wanted more of a neighborhood night spot, because that was always the goal of Paloma, was to have a place where everybody in the neighborhood could come and feel welcome, and share a drink in vermouth. Because I'm sure, as you know, vermouth is community. It brings people together, and vermuterias for generations have been bringing people from all over the world, whether in the business world to the service world. It didn't really matter. If you went to a vermuteria, you could have a conversation with anybody. So that was kind of Paloma's goal whenever we were getting started.
So about this one, this is interesting. There is vermouth culture in Copenhagen. So there are also other vermuterias more than Palomas.
Yes, there's not that many. I really only know of one other one, and they don't call themselves a vermuteria. They're a strictly vermouth bar, and they do pretty much nonstop vermouth cocktails. They do have obviously vermouth in glasses, but that's really the only one I know of. There's not a lot of vermuterias in Denmark, especially not in Copenhagen. but the same culture is still alive. You have that cafe culture where you go and you sit and you drink a coffee and you have a snack and you sort of move throughout cafes throughout your day. There is that type of culture here. So it fits in really well.
Nice. Logan, which is the hour of Vermouth? So in Spain, we are used to take Vermouth at 12 and midday, like now. In Copenhagen, when is the Vermouth?
Well, like you said, traditionally it's drank during the daytime. It is a summer drink. It's refreshing and it's light. But I've always liked the idea of drinking vermouth sort of with the sun. So as the day starts, you start with a light vermouth. And then as it becomes closer to night and as the sun goes down, you switch to a more darker vermouth or a different herbal liqueur or maybe an amaro. So that's sort of been our take on it. But we always have people coming in whenever we first open at around 3 that definitely just want a glass of vermouth right away. People sort of use it as a way to get into the nightlife. You know, it's sort of like a pre-type of drink that people will use. But hopefully the answer to your question is you can drink vermouth all day, every day.
The same we say in La Bermudas is always the right time to have a vermouth, always. But we saw that there are some differences depending according to the region. There are some regions in Spain that are strictly to have vermouth at 12. And there are other regions like in Barcelona where we are, that is more like you said, before dinner and also later after dinner. Do in Copenhagen customers ask you for vermouth or general vermouth or maybe some specific brands of vermouth?
Well, yes and no. We are lucky enough to have a few regulars that know what style of vermouth that they like, and they know a few different brands. And so if they come in, they genuinely have an okay idea of where they're going to go. But I would say the majority of our customers and our guests, I should say, they don't know a ton about vermouth. They're familiar with the word, but they don't really know what goes into it or really what it tastes like. So most of it is sort of an educational process for a lot of our customers. But we do a thing called Vermouth Myths, and we do it once every month, normally on a Wednesday. And basically all of our vermouth is at a very discounted price. And this lets people just try everything, you know, because vermouth glasses, of course, are small. So you're not gonna really feel it the next day if you drink a lot of it. And so that way they can sort of try and understand and get a better idea of what vermouth really is. So that's really what we try to go to.
That's quite interesting what you say, to establish a vermouth movement. That's a very great idea to divulge and to educate customers. Do you think as a bartender you need to explain what is vermouth, or maybe the customers are more prone to drink vermouth because they know the vermouth culture? Do you think that still there is a lot of work to do?
Yes, in a way, because the Danish people, just as a culture, they are very, very curious. So whenever it comes to something that they don't fully understand, they will ask you so many questions. And so from a bartender's point of view, it's actually really fun because you get to just talk about products that you are very passionate about. So like for Vermouth Myths, for example, we do our best to take special time out of the service to explain to people, so this vermouth is from here, they do it this way. The reason why it's like this is because of that. And we try to really explain it to people, but of course they do have a lot of questions. And the Danes are very bold, so they really like trying new things. Most people have tried vermouth or have at least heard of vermouth. It was very popular in Denmark a little bit after the First World War. You know, everybody was drinking at that time. And it was sort of the style to come home and make yourself a cocktail and then enjoy the rest of your evening. So a lot of people know vermouth just from seeing it in their parents' cabinets, seeing that bottle of martini and having that sort of memory from it. So we do have to explain the more, you know, how to actually take it on its own and what it consists of by itself.
Talking about the brands, which brands do you know of Vermouth? Which are the most famous brands that in Copenhagen you sell?
The most famous band, well, the most famous is probably the Martini. We don't really sell that at Paloma very much. At Paloma, we do our best to have a pretty consistent moving selection of vermouth. We are pretty lucky in Denmark. It's very easy to get an importer license. So the liquor store that the owners of Paloma have, that place has a license, and then there's many, like almost countless numbers of people who can actually import vermouth and wine, anything under 18%, which includes the majority of vermouth. So we're very, very lucky to be able to have such a wide variety of vermouth to pick from. But of course we have our favorites. I think the Cocchi family is in there. We do lots with Cocchi Torino, as well as Cocchi Chinato, or the Vergano family with their lovely VVV. So we do have a few favorites, but we try to mix it up as much as possible. We try to keep it very dynamic, give the people like a wide variety of the category to really showcase it as it's full.
Logan, do you have an house vermouth that you do in Paloma? Vermouth that you serve it as yours?
Yes, yes. That's actually what I'm drinking here.
Okay.
I have a bottle of it.
Cheers. Okay.
So we use Drappo Rosso. I don't know if you can see this.
Wow.
This is house vermouth from Paloma. We use Drappo Rosso, and then we have Drappo Dry, of course. And we like that because it's a great sort of starter to vermouth. Drappo makes very classic vermouths. Their sweet vermouth, the one that I'm drinking now, it is sort of the quintessential, you know. It's sweet, it's a little bitter, it's very fruity, very floral, and their dry vermouth is the same. So we use that as our house vermouth, again, just to sort of start people off and see if they are more towards the dry side or more towards the sweet side.
And how do you do that vermouth? How do you prepare it?
So we actually prepare it just like this. So we have a few ice cubes, and then we do a little bit of an orange or a lemon, sort of depending on the vermouth. Some vermouth doesn't even need it. And we do that just to make it a bit more fresher. And then we also serve it with a side of soda water. And that is, you know, if someone wants to make it a bit sparkling or make it a longer drink, they are welcome to do that on their own.
And in Paloma, do you sell more vermouth like straight, like we are taking now? Or maybe you sell more cocktail with vermouth? Which, how do you serve most the vermouth? Alone or with cocktails?
Well, we have a large majority of cocktails that the main ingredient is vermouth. So if someone is ordering a cocktail, there's a high chance that their cocktail is going to contain mainly vermouth. But I think we mostly sell it by itself in the glass, just like this. And again, that is because the Danes, if they don't fully know it, they want to experience it as it is. They want to taste the real vermouth on its own, maybe some ice, a little bit of lemon, something like that. And then if they want a cocktail, then of course they will maybe later go into a vermouth cocktail.
Gastroralphus, hello Gastroralphus. So ask about gastronomy. We know that in Paloma you serve tapas. Which kind of tapas do you serve it with vermouth? And how maybe you have some inspiration about the gastronomy and tapas?
Of course. Well, I mean, tapas and vermouth, I think they go hand in hand. It's part of the Vermuteria culture that we were speaking about earlier. Is, you know, you go to a Vermuteria, you get a little vermouth and you get snacks, and you just spend your day like that, whether it's hopping from Vermuteria to Vermuteria or just staying in that one place. So we have a sort of Nordic twist on our tapas. We have a toast, which is kind of just like a grilled cheese, basically. And it's something that Danes hold pretty close to their heart, is a nice toasty. And we have a few other sandwiches that are similar to that. And then we have an assortment of sort of these small canned different fishes. which again sort of goes with like the Danish. They love seafood and they love like the sort of canned fish aspect. And so we serve that with bread. Of course, we have lots of bread with the vermouth, with some oil and some salt. But for the most part, we try to keep it fairly simple. And the focus is more on the drinks.
Nice. So there are some particular tapas that you want to suggest with your vermouth, Paloma Vermut?
Yes. Well, I think the Patrones, our Patrone peppers, those are a must. Salty and, you know, refreshing and a little sweet. They're really, really lovely. They go well with pretty much any vermouth out there. So that would be the #1 snack that I would go for.
Super. Thank you very much. And talking about cocktails, you know, you said before, as a bartender, do you consider the vermouth a good ingredient for cocktails? What do you think is the role of the vermouth in mixology?
Absolutely, yeah. Honestly, vermouth could be considered a cocktail in itself, really. You have the 4 pillars that you would kind of think of a cocktail. There's strong, there's weak, there's sweet, and there's bitter, all in vermouth. Some vermouth, of course, has all 4, and some has only 1. But the versatility that you get with vermouth, it's kind of unlike any other ingredient out there that you can use, because vermouth is different from grape to grape, from producer to producer, and so you're always getting a continuous kind of cycle of a little bit new flavors. And that's really what we try to do at Paloma. If we get in some new vermouth that we really enjoy, we'll switch our cocktails to use that vermouth. And so we'll sort of update our recipes and tweak them to match the new vermouth flavor.
Vermuteria de Sevilla, hello. Say very good vermouth, Petroni. I have just a question. Do you have in Copenhagen more Spanish vermouth, more French vermouth, or you can find more easily more Italian vermouth? Which style of vermouth do you work best?
I think it's pretty predominantly Italian style. Paloma, we've carried lots of different styles, whether it's Italian, French, or Spanish. We actually carried El Consul for a little bit. Very nice vermouth. But in Denmark, if you are just looking at either different importers or if you're going to shops, the majority of it is going to be sweet vermouth. And I think the reasoning behind that is really Denmark is still slightly new to the culture and to the idea of drinking vermouth on its own. And sweet vermouth is a very easy way to sort of get into the category. So that's probably...
Logan, we have a question from a bartender located in Peru. He loves vermouth, but the problem that he has is that the customer don't know vermouth. Maybe you have some suggestion how you can sell vermouth to customer or people that don't know vermouth. How would you recommend vermouth to a customer that do not know?
Of course. I think the best thing to do would be to get them to try it. In my experience, a lot of people, they see vermouth, they see the sort of dark coloration, and they associate it with something strong, something kind of harsh to your palate. In fact, vermouth is the exact opposite. And so in my experience, if you can get someone to try vermouth, they will almost immediately love it. And if they don't like that specific one, then you can normally suggest another one that's a bit more along their taste buds. But I think probably one of the other ways, if you can't get them to try it, would just be to sort of, you know, slowly suggest it. If, you know, maybe they want a beer, maybe they need like another herbal liqueur on the side, you know, have a beer and a little shot of Amaro, just to get them into the idea that herbs and spices don't necessarily have to be these harsh things. They can be sweet and light and refreshing.
Talking about cocktails, because we have a lot of bartenders that follow us and ask, do you have some particular brand of vermouth that you love, that in a bar you cannot miss?
That list is kind of long. With vermouth, obviously it being such a melody of flavors, you want vermouth that is going to be paired and that you can sort of twist and kind of make into anything. And at Paloma, we use coffee torino quite a bit in our cocktails. It's a very beautiful flavored vermouth. It's sweet, has a nice color. We also use a lot of the Freimeister Collective dry vermouth, which, yes, I have here. It is vermouth made in Austria.
Wow.
And yeah, vermouth all over the world. I think that is probably those two we use a lot.
Can you show the bottle so we can see also vermouth from Austria? Nice.
This vermouth is actually very. I was going to make a cocktail with it later for you guys.
Nice.
It's a lovely dry vermouth. Yes, from Austria. It's very cool. It uses the muscat wine, and they distill half the wine, and they use that to fortify the vermouth. Instead of a neutral spirit, it's actually distilled wine that makes it the strong APV.
Gastronalfos asked, which is the cocktail that is the best sell in Copenhagen? Maybe Aperol Spritz, or there are some cocktail that is the best sell
Well,
in Paloma.
I think that the Dark and Stormy is a very, very loved cocktail from the Danes, and we do a version of that with kakikinato and ginger beer.
Wow.
At Paloma, and that became very popular. But also, I think that maybe just our straight up vermouth sour. We do a vermouth sour, and we switch out the sweet vermouth pretty consistently, and it's a very simple sour. It's, you know, vermouth, lemon, sugar, shaken, and that's it. And people really respond to that because it kind of changes the idea of vermouth and makes it this very sweet, this very like sweet and sour drink.
Nice. Vermouth sour made with red vermouth or white vermouth? What would you recommend?
We typically do it with red vermouth.
Red.
Yeah.
So guys, you have a new recipe to try: red vermouth, lemon, sugar, vermouth sour. This is a nice cocktail from Logan, from Copenhagen. For all those that are connecting now, you are on direct. We are connected with Logan. He's the bar manager in Paloma, Vermuteria in Copenhagen, and he's talking about the vermouth culture in Copenhagen. And he's a bartender. Do you have your favorite cocktail? Maybe you have a cocktail you want to show how to make it?
Yes. I
Super.
do. I can make you, at Paloma, we have a cocktail called the Daiquiri.
You say?
We have a cocktail called Daiquiri. It's a dry vermouth daiquiri. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Nice.
So we use the same that I was showing you before, the extra dry vermouth from Freimeister Collective. And then we actually use an acid solution instead of lime. So we have an acid mix.
How do you do that? Maybe it's difficult to do it, to prepare it at home?
Yeah, the acid mix is extremely simple, and it can also be subbed for lime or lemon. You don't have to use acid mix. The only reason, maybe that's better, I can start off with why we actually use it at Paloma, is because as a drink gets warmer, or like the ice melts and the drink comes closer to room temperature, it will get sweeter and it will lose that sort of sourness. So this acid basically retains the sourness even at a room temperature. And so your drink tastes the same from the first sip to the last sip, regardless of how warm or cold it is. This acid here, it is a mixture of 3 different ones. Yes, the acid will basically stay sour regardless of temperature. And that is the main reason why we use it, just to make sure that each sip of the cocktail is going to be the same taste. This acid is a combination of 3 different ones. So you have tartaric, you have citric, and you have malic, and then just water and sugar. And then you get this lovely ingredient that can replace any sort of citrus in the majority of drinks.
Very nice.
So the daiquiri is just that and some sugar. We have our 2-to-1 sugar syrup here. and then just some orange bitters. And I think one of the coolest things about this cocktail, and maybe about mixing with vermouth, is that you can make this with any dry vermouth. You can make it with any sort of citrus, and pretty much any sort of sugar syrup as well. And because vermouth is so different from bottle to bottle, your daiquiri might be even better than the one I'm making here. And that is probably one of the coolest things to me, is that vermouth is just consistently changing throughout.
So can you repeat, sorry, how much vermouth?
So it was 50 milliliters of vermouth.
Okay.
Of the dry vermouth. So 50 milliliters, we want to get that vermouth taste in there, so we use a bit more. And then you're just going to do 20 milliliters of your citrus, or in this case, the acid solution. And then depending on how sweet you are wanting your drink, you're going to do anywhere from 5 to 10 milliliters of sugar syrup.
For all those of you that want to repeat this cocktail at home, sugar syrup is just easy to do. I guess 1 liter, 1 kilo of sugar, right? One.
Yeah, this specific one is a bit stronger. It's 2 to 1, so more, double the sugar to 1 part of water. But very easy. It's almost impossible to make wrong.
Okay, and orange bitter.
And then just some orange bitters. And then, of course, ice.
Okay, nice.
I'm doing it in a shaker, but this drink could also just be built. It could also just be stirred, depending on what you have at home.
Okay.
So we have ice in our shaker. We have our glass ready. Just gonna do a little shake.
Sexy shake. Nice. So vermouth, acid solution, and sugar syrup. 3 ingredients, very easy. Everybody can do it at home. Also, with the same vermouth that you are drinking now, you can do a cocktail with vermouth. The D Daiquiri from Paloma. Look at that. Awesome. Very nice.
Here you have the D Daiquiri.
Oh, that's very good cocktail. I am sure that this tastes delicious. So the secret ingredient is the vermouth. So according to the style of vermouth, you can have a daiquiri or other style.
Exactly. You can, again, that's probably the best thing about vermouth, is the versatility of it. There are so many different flavors already being blended inside the bottles themselves. And so whenever you take it out and you make a cocktail with it, you can really go anywhere. Sky is the absolute limit. And so you can make something simple, like a daiquiri, or you can make something extremely complicated if you'd like.
Guys, so for all those of you that are following at home, for today, you should prepare a daiquiri according to the Paloma recipe. Vermouth, 5 centiliter, acid solution. Maybe if we don't have such a solution, can we use some lime or lemon?
Yes, lime and lemon. Perfect.
And then sugar syrup. And we have here the recipe.
Yes.
Daiquiri glass. Beautiful. So you, bartender, that you are following us, you have the recipe on your screen now.
Yep.
Nice, very, very good. So we have a daiquiri. Also in Las Bermudas, we have our version of Vermouth Daiquiri, and the secret, as you said, Logan, the secret is the vermouth. According to which style of vermouth you use, you can have 2 completely different daiquiris. Guys, we invite you to share your recipe or to make photo of your vermouth cocktail and tag Paloma and tag also Las Bermudas on Instagram, so we can see your creation and your cocktail with vermouth. As we saw today, vermouth is perfect to have it straight, but is also perfect to have in cocktail. Logan, personal question. How much vermouth do you drink in a week?
Oh, Probably too much, but at the same time, not enough. Right in the middle.
Very good answer. Logan, we arrived to the end of our vermouth. Our vermouth is almost finished. And we passed already 30 minutes, all the time that we had to talk about vermouth. Thank you very much for this great interview. So today we saw vermouth from another point of view, from Copenhagen, Vermuteria Paloma. So if you want to follow Vermuteria Paloma, you can see the contact in Instagram. Thank you very much, Logan, for sharing your time and your vermouth with us in Las Bermudas, and we hope to see you in Copenhagen, or if you come here in Spain, more precisely in Barcelona, we invite you, and we invite you all to Las Bermudas, land of Vermouth. Thank you very much. Here in Las Bermudas, we say, Salud y Vermouth. Salud.
Cheers.
Ciao, Logan. Thank you. Chicos, muchísimas gracias a todos los que habéis compartido vuestro tiempo y vuestro vermut con nosotros en las Bermudas. Hoy hemos ido fuera de España, en la Vermuteria, hablamos del vermut a 360 grados. Entonces, nosotros os renovamos la cita para mañana. Mañana hablaremos con un productor muy famoso, estamos muy seguros que la mayoría de vosotros lo conocen. Estamos hablando de Nordesia. Vermut Nordesia o Nordesia nos desvelará todos sus secretos sobre cómo produce este delicioso vermut gallego. Entonces, desde Copenhague nos vamos a Galicia. Mañana haremos un buen viaje, pero como siempre, acomunados por nuestros vermut. Gracias por compartir el vermut de hoy con nosotros, con la Vermuteria Paloma. Esperamos hayáis podido apuntar la receta del Daiquiri de la Vermuteria Paloma y os invitamos a hacer cócteles. Y si no conseguís hacer cócteles en casa, no os preocupéis, porque en las Bermudas, pero también en las vermuterías, estoy seguro que también en la Vermutería de Sevilla, cócteles con vermut, ni hay muchísimos. Muchísimas gracias y hasta el próximo vermut. Salud y buen vermut.